Today, I'm going to show you how to use the Gale databases to find information. The first thing you're going to do is to go into your Google Drive and you're going to search for a document entitled Library Electronic Resources. And since I created the document, it's already in my drive, but when you go to search, you're going to click on Shared with Me and search for it. And what should show up is a listing of all of the online resources that the library pays a subscription for. And this is really important. This is different from the internet, but this will provide you a lot more information, and often these are vetted sources, which means they're better. So what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down the sheet until you find a reference to something called Vermont Online Library, or VOL. And you're going to click on the link, and once you click on the link, it's going to ask you for a password. And the password should be chain if you're using it in school, and it will be Rambo at home. But you can access this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I'm going to click on the link, and it already recognizes it on my computer. You'll probably have to, it probably will ask you for a password, at which point you're going to type in the word chain if you're here, and again, Rambo at home. And what it gives you is a list of databases, and they're subject specific. There's one on physical therapy, there's one that has to do with pop culture, there's one that's just simply popular magazines. Now, you could simply select one of these databases, but we're going to do something a little different. We're going to get a little more bang for our buck. And what I want you to do is go up to the little blue search icon here, and I want you to click on that. And we're going to do what's known as a PowerSearch. We'll wait for it to load, and the screen will look a little different. Now, a PowerSearch allows you to access many of the databases all at the same time. And those databases may contain articles from magazines, journals, newspapers, reference books, along with videos, images, and podcasts. So it's sort of one-stop shopping. And we think it's pretty impressive for the $750 a year that we spend on it. Now, you could simply enter a search topic, or you could use what's known as an advanced search. So once you have your screen, it looks like this. What I'd like you to do is go up to this little icon that says advanced, and it looks like a magnifying glass with a plus sign. I want you to click on that, and an advanced search screen will come up. What's nice about this is it allows you to limit the information that you actually access. And by that I mean, if you just searched in a random topic like the Nile River, you'll get a list of results. If you search for the Nile River and you limit your search results to specific things, it might make your life a little bit easier, and it might make you actually appreciate using your Chromebooks a little bit more. So I've entered in the Nile River as a topic, and I'm going to scroll down here. Now, you might have more than one topic embedded within your thesis statement. And what you're going to have to do is come up with the right combination of words. What I would advise you to do is to not enter your thesis statement. That's too much information. Just like Google, Gale Group, Vermont Online Library will not search for all that information. It just doesn't operate that way. So I'm going to stick with the Nile River, and I'm going to come down here to where it says More Options. And this is kind of the power of the advanced search. Sometimes you want something that's full text, where all the information is there. Sometimes you may just want a reference to something that you can go to later, or that you might be able to find in another library. Sometimes your teacher might say, you need to look at a peer-reviewed journal, and that's a magazine that has gone through multiple revisions, and a panel of experts have looked over articles to make sure they're the very best. Sometimes you want an article or an entry that has images. You have the ability to click on these. So you decide you want a full text document. So I'm going to make sure that whatever I find on the Nile River, it's going to be full text. You can limit your results by publication date. Now, your topics relate to ancient civilizations. Unless you're looking up anything about King Tut and Queen, I believe it was Nefertiti, I'm not sure that the publication date is going to matter that much, because the information is probably similar from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and up till present day. If you're looking for a recent topic, something like ISIS, or the refugee crisis, or Ebola, you want to change this and make sure you do a more up-to-date publication date. And you can change this. So if you decide, I'll show you what this looks like. If you leave it at all dates, it's going to search every date. If you wanted an article published before a certain date, if you click on before, you're going to have to tell it what day, what month, and what year. So just know that. I think the power of this is if you know a magazine article was published on a certain week and you don't know exactly when, you could give it a beginning and an end date. You could click on between and say maybe the Sunday of that week through the Saturday of that week. So I'm not really concerned with the date, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. But what if you don't want every document type? You can click on the little drag down menu, and maybe you don't want an abstract, and I can explain abstracts to you later. Maybe you don't want other things that are listed on here. You decide you don't want a glossary, you don't want an image. There's a lot of things that you might not want, so it's going to pull that out of your results, which is sort of handy. I'm going to bring this back to actually, I guess I would like to eliminate this. The other thing this gives you the power to do is to search a specific publication title or a specific publication subject. So one magazine that I know that has great information on ancient civilizations, world cultures, is a magazine for middle school called Calliope. So I'm going to enter the term Calliope in here. And what will happen is I'm entering in a publication title, and if that title exists in the system, it will show up blue. Just like in Google, sometimes you'll get the correct result and that'll pop up. It does the same thing here. So I'm going to click on Calliope, and maybe there's another magazine that I just think will be really good. And I know National Geographic tends to have some really cool things, and maybe they covered it. So I'm going to try National Geographic. And what comes up? National Geographic magazine. Well, let's try that. So I've told it 2 magazines that I wanted to search, but we can go even one step further. We can search by Lexile reading level. And many of you know what Lexile reading levels that you currently read at. If you're concerned about something being too difficult, you can limit it to a certain Lexile ranking. And oftentimes you'll see these numbers on the back of fiction and nonfiction books. Again, you don't have to use this if you don't want to. If you know the exact score, you could enter it in. So I'm going to try, I think I'm just going to stick with full text, all dates. I'm going to eliminate abstracts, and I think we'll search Calliope and National Geographic. And I'm not so concerned with the Lexile reading level because I can change that later. And I'm going to click the search button. And I should get a list of results. And what I get is 65 magazine articles. What I like is up along the top here, underneath where it lists the number of magazines, it tells you the search terms. My basic search was the Nile River. I eliminated abstracts. I asked for full text, and I wanted things that came from either Calliope magazine or National Geographic magazine. So I can scroll down this list and start looking to see what looks like it might be important about the Nile River. Or I can go one step further and limit it even more. And over on the right-hand side here, you can actually filter it out even more. You can actually narrow it more. You can simply search the Nile River. So maybe that's all I want. I don't want to look at all 65. So I'm going to come over here and I'm simply going to click on the Nile River. And let's see what I get. I'm down to 13 magazines. And again, I'm curious. That one comes from Calliope. That comes from Calliope. They're mostly Calliopes. And a lot of them are written by the same person. And what's more interesting is a lot of them come from the exact same volume. So looking here, I see, wow, they all seem to come from October of 2012, written by Noreen Doyle, The Life-Giving Nile. Ooh, that might be interesting. And then down here, there's one from October of 2010. There's a couple of articles from there. So maybe, just maybe, the entire issue of Calliope was looking at the Nile River or perhaps Egypt. But I'm going to scroll back up to the top because I'm kind of happy. This is not too bad. 13, not too bad to look at. I decide I want to look at the article. I'm going to click on the link. And I can do a couple of things. I can listen to the article. I can read the article. I can cite the article, email it to myself, download it. I can save it. I can download the MP3 of it as well if I want to listen to it later. And then, the way I would probably look at it, I probably would actually read it. And it looks at the importance of the Nile River. And how do I know that? I went to the very first paragraph. Without the Nile River, Egypt would be a desert, the kind of place the ancient Egyptians called the Red Land or Deshret. Kind of important. How did the Nile River impact ancient civilizations? Maybe that's a good one. Now, I decided I like this, and I know I'm going to come back to it. I can do a couple of things. I can go down to the bottom. I can copy the link and perhaps put it into my resource sheet. I can take notes on it, and there's some highlight and note taking that you can do right here, which I can go into later. But at the end, the one thing that I know I'm going to be required to do is to come up with a source citation. And the Social Studies Department and the English Department here recommend using the Modern Language Association. So you're going to copy and paste this into a document. Obviously, the other thing that you could do, you could copy and paste this link and use the EasyBib app or add-on. I believe it's one of the two. And type this in as a website, and the link should come up to this actual article. So those are a couple of things that you could do. I think it's important that you learn how to use this. The other thing I think it's important to do is to fiddle with your search terms. So if you don't find anything right away, don't be daunted. Okay, go back to your search results, and you can always change up what you do. So you had a certain number of results. Let's go back and maybe we try something a little different. Maybe we add some things. Maybe we take away some names of some magazines. And maybe we try to find what the best magazine is to actually do this research. If nothing else, this gives you another place to go to get a wide variety of resources. And I hope you enjoy this webcast.